broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAT button on your television. The Jets have won the toss, and they will defer, which means that Cam Newton and the Panthers will get their hands on the ball first. A very, very pleasant afternoon here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
When you look at the weather at different parts of the country, you better believe it. A beautiful day here in the 50s. Fields in perfect shape. But again, the Jets better get ready to play some flawless football.
Nick Folk getting set to kick it away. Deep Artinian Jr. Kenyon Barner. And they will not get a chance to run this one out of the end zone. And so the Panthers will start at their own 20-yard line, with Cam Newton completing 62% of his throws, 20 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions. He's also run the ball for almost 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Kind of like a machine, Dan.
Well, and a very large machine. That's you talk to every member of the New York Jets who very rarely see the Panthers. It takes you a while to adjust to how big a man Cam Newton is. 6'5", he looks closer to 6'6", nearly 250 pounds.
A quarterback in a linebacker's body. He's going to throw. He's going to run. Falling forward to about the 23-yard line. Carolina's offensive line anchored by center Ryan Khalil in his 7th year out of USC. And Newton has plenty of weapons among his backs and receivers. Fullback Mike Tolbert, 6 touchdowns to lead the team, 4 rushing and 2 receiving.
Greg, a good look there at the maturity of Cam Newton. When he breaks out of the pocket, he saw 2 Jets there, knew that there was no way he wasn't going to take a big hit, gave himself up and went down. That's a play that I think in his previous 2 years, he'd have tried to break a tackle and make something happen and take the hit.
That's it. On second down, this is D'Angelo Williams. Running in left side, has a first down across the 30. Loves football, and he's going to be whistled down at the 31-yard line.
The official was very definitive in ruling Williams down by contact. Good move there getting away, and he's down on the ground. And it looked to me like the knee goes down. The knee is down. He's still got the football.
Hey, drag double.
So it's a first down for Carolina at their own 31. And this is Williams again, and Williams tries the right side for about 4. The Jets' run defense second only to that of the Panthers in the NFL. Muhammad Wilkinson with 10 sacks and an interception. The veteran linebacker Calvin Pace in his 11th year from Wake Forest, 8 quarterback sacks. And in the secondary, Antonio Cromartie with concussion symptoms in the game against Oakland last week, cleared to play today.
And just cleared earlier this morning as he was in the NFL's concussion protocol, which meant an outside physician had to clear him to play. He passed muster this morning, and he'll be on Steve Smith all day.
This is Williams, and Williams straight ahead to about the 38-yard line. Cam Newton coming into this game with more than 2,700 yards throwing, 495 yards rushing, and add to that the few that he had to start this game. What a season he's putting together.
Well, yes, and it's the maturity that he's bringing to the position now. And it's been fun to watch him grow. I know it's really been fun for Panthers fans to watch him grow, but it's in every aspect of his game, he's improving. That's all you can ask for.
3rd and 2. He's going to keep it and go nowhere. In fact, he loses yardage. Back to the 36-yard line, and Muhammad Wilkinson leading the charge.
Well, this is an extremely talented defensive line, and this play takes so long to set up, and you can see the tight end Greg Olsen tried to block Muhammad Wilkinson, and Wilkinson just throws him on his backside and makes the play. Talk about a guy on his way to a Pro Bowl season. That is Muhammad Wilkinson, one of the premier defensive linemen in football.
Brad Nortman punting it away to Kyle Wilson. Wilson on the run. Lets it bounce at the 20, and it takes a Carolina roll down to about the 11 or 12-yard line. Tino Smith and the New York Jet offense take the field for the first time after this. In the Jet huddle, Geno Smith, who goes to sleep and wakes up thinking about ball security. 20 interceptions, 4 lost fumbles, and yet he and the Jets still thinking playoffs. From their own 12-yard line. This is Ivory for a couple. On the offensive line, 4-time Pro Bowl center Nick Mangold, the steadying influence up front in his 8th year from Ohio State. And we will keep an eye on Santonio Holmes, who set the bar high this week by calling the Panthers secondary the weak link in their defense. At some point, Dan, you have to answer for a comment like that.
He really wasn't trying to be derogatory.
No. Smith outside. That catch is made by the tight end Jeff Cumberland, who breaks free to the 20-yard line. The Panthers own the second-ranked defense in the NFL. Charles Johnson, the team sack leader with 8.5. A chance to see one of the fine young linebackers in the game in second-year man Luke Kuechly out of Boston College. And Carolina's picked off 16 passes thus far this year. Safety Mike Mitchell with 4 of them. There is Kuechly, who is, in the words of many, a tackling machine.
Well, he's such a wonderful athlete. So fast, so quick, sideline to sideline.
His coach, Ron Rivera, says the quickest first step he's ever seen. Smith on the run with a block. Has the first down and is out of bounds across the 30-yard line.
You know, last week in the Jets win over Oakland, Geno ran the ball 5 times for 50 yards. He ran for a touchdown, and he talked about that's just part of this whole process of him relaxing. You know, when you come out on a naked bootleg like that and you have that kind of success, you move the chains, but it gives your offense confidence, and it makes everyone on that defensive side of the ball slow their pursuit just a step.
This is Ivory again, and Ivory a couple of tough yards.
And Rex Ryan knows that Geno Smith has to use his legs. He is not going to beat a team by just being a drop-back quarterback. And you know, Geno was never known as a great runner at West Virginia. That wasn't, running the read option wasn't part of his deal. But he's a good athlete, and as you saw right there, more than capable of making something happen outside the pocket.
Here's Geno Smith now on 2nd and 8. In the face of a rush, he gets it away, and Holmes dropped it.
And wouldn't you know it, the guy who makes the comment about the Panthers secondary has one bounce right off his chest. And you could working against the rookie Melvin White. He just schooled White with that route. Can't say he didn't look it in. It just went right through his hands. The ball just ate him alive.
3rd and 8. With Bilal Powell now in the backfield for the Jets alongside Smith. Under pressure. And he'll go down inside the 25-yard line. Captain Munnerlyn coming off the corner.
Well, Munnerlyn is going to come in from Geno Smith's right side, and there he comes off the corner. Other than picking, there weren't enough people to pick him up. The Jets did a great job of picking up the interior blitz and everyone along the line. That's Geno's hot read, and he wasn't able to deal with it.
Carolina continues its streak now. No touchdowns on an opening drive in the last 18 games. That's the longest streak going in the NFL. Ted Ginn Jr. A fair catch at his own 33-yard line. 9:16 to play in a scoreless first quarter here in Carolina. Welcome back to Charlotte. There's Ron Rivera in his 3rd season as head coach of these Carolina Panthers, who once played for Buddy Ryan, the father of the head coach of the New York Jets.
Ron, a member of the great Bears teams in the middle 80s. Super Bowl ring, Super Bowl champion with the Bears.
On 1st down. Newton throwing sideline, complete. And out of bounds at the 43-yard line is the tight end, Greg Olsen.
And that's Greg Olsen's 59th catch of the year. He has become a real target for Cam Newton, and that's a good look at why. That soft, supple hands, the ball comes right in there, not even a jiggle once he gets it between both his hands. And again, Greg Olsen is actually the biggest downfield threat for the Panthers. It's not Steve Smith, it's actually Greg Olsen.
First down now at the 43-yard line. Give us to Tolbert. And Tolbert to about the 45-yard line. You know, it was interesting talking to Ron Rivera and to Rex Ryan about how far back their history goes.
Oh, absolutely. And it does. It goes all the way back to the 80s. And Ron Rivera, the way that Buddy Ryan taught him, just didn't teach him, to play linebacker, taught him every aspect of defense and the opportunity that he got to pick Buddy's brain. And, I think, reality of it is that Ron Rivera is just one of those guys that was destined to coach. It was in his blood.
6 of the first 7 offensive plays have been on the ground. Newton throwing here, going deep. Got his man inside the 25, inside the 20. Brandon LaFell, the 4th-year receiver out of LSU.
And you got to be a man to run downfield like that, because you know that there's a safety waiting for you. In this case, it's Juan Landry. But LaFell does not take his eye off that football. He looks it in. He knows what's coming. Landry comes in with a shoulder. That's a good, clean, legal hit. But Brandon LaFell holds on to the football. Kudos to you.
36-yard pickup to the 19 of the Jets.
How about that throw?
On a line. This is D'Angelo Williams, and Williams slips off the left side, close to the 15.
That throw by Cam Newton, everybody wants to focus on how big Newton is and how he can run when he gets out in the open field, but he has a tremendous throwing arm, and he's got touch, and he's got accuracy. This is a big-time throw. Look how tight that spiral is. It is in perfect position to a player going right down the middle of the field. That's a throw that Peyton Manning and Tom Brady would have been proud to throw.
On 2nd and 6. They'll give it to him coming around, and that's LaFell. And LaFell dips inside the 10, close to the 8-yard line before Muhammad Wilkinson makes the stop.
There's Ken Dorsey, the quarterback's coach, that's who Cam Newton hears in his ear, and Cam gives him all sorts of credit. Working with him, of course, Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator now, was Cam's coach for 2 years. So one of the things that Cam has gotten to enjoy is continuity here in his first 3 years in the league.
1st and goal from the 9. This is Williams trying the left side. And did not even get back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, one thing the Jets can do, and you talked about it earlier, Greg, they can defend the run. These are the 2 toughest teams in the NFL to try to run the pigskin down the field. And it's because of the quality of their front 7. These are 2 of the best front 7s in football.
This Jet defense comes in giving up less than 83 yards a game rushing. The Panthers give up less than 80 a game.
Well, the difference is the Panthers defense hasn't been put in many of the compromising positions the Jets have.
On 2nd and goal, Newton, a little flip over the middle, and he overthrew his intended receiver, Williams, coming out of the backfield.
Oh, he had the screen set up, and Cam just tries to flip it. He tries to just flip it over the top of the Jet defender. I think D. Milner came in on a blitz. Ooh, that's got to be frustrating.
And we have an injured Jet down on one.
That's Muhammad Wilkinson.
We'll be back. Hey, this week, don't miss the show that's in the league by itself with guys that take on all 32 teams and each other every week. James Brown, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth with the artistry of NFL films and the chemistry of the boys inside the NFL. The show the pros watch Wednesday at 9 only on Showtime. Muhammad Wilkinson was able to walk off the field under his own power. Leger Douzable in his 6th season out of Central Florida, replacing him for this play.
Good sign for Wilkinson. He's still got his chin strap buckled up.
3rd and goal.
Right 97.
Newton with time. Oh, and then he gets hit and decked at the 19-yard line. Calvin Pace.
Yeah, that's Calvin Pace again, who's just having a banner year here in his 11th season, working against Greg Olsen. And again, he's just waiting for Cam Newton to try to leave the pocket out the front door, and he shut it down for his 9th sack of the year. Boy, and Ron Rivera was lamenting the fact that in their loss to New Orleans last week, their first 2 trips down the field, they had to settle for field goals both times. And here they go again.
Graham Gano from 35 yards out, and that is good. They settle for 3 here. 4:39 to play in the first. It's a 3-0 Carolina lead. Back in Charlotte, 3-0 Carolina, and Kyle Wilson awaits the kick. Upcoming from the Panthers as we come up on 4.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Boy, with all the attention given to Rex Ryan and his job status, he sure is an upbeat guy this time of year, isn't he?
He doesn't know any other way. I think it's refreshing.
Wilson not going to run this one out of the end zone, so the Jets will start from their own 20-yard line as we check out the updated NFC playoff situation. Philadelphia a winner, or loser. Chicago a winner. San Francisco won, but they need an Arizona loss in order to clinch a playoff spot. Meanwhile, Carolina, with a win here over the Jets today, can jump the 49ers into that first wild card slot. First down from the 20. Smith on the move, being chased, got rid of it, incomplete. Greg Hardy was on the Jet quarterback, barely got rid of it.
Well, the Panthers bring such pressure off the edge. Here's Hardy down here at the bottom. Charles Johnson's on the other side. But these two guys can be dominant. And you can see he got around to Brickashaw Ferguson. Ferguson did a pretty good job of holding him out. Gino was on the move.
I thought his knee might have been down before he got rid of the ball.
It was really close.
2nd and 10. Pollard for about 5 to the 25. Mike Mitchell coming up from his safety position to make the tackle.
Now that's one of the things the Jets have to be aware of, is just the innate pass rushing skills of this front unit of the Panthers. It's not unusual for a team to have one really good edge rusher, but to have 2, and that's what they have in Johnson and Hardy.
3rd and 5. Smith with some time, throwing, and that's complete out across the 40-yard line to the 41 to David Nelson for a first down.
David Nelson looks like he's a little shaken up as he heads over to the Jets sideline. You can take a look at working against Drayton Florence, number 29. And Florence, he's looking at Nelson the whole way and just really slow to break on the football. Good crisp throw by Gino. Good sharp throw.
Coming this way is Salim Hakeem, just brought up from the practice squad and out of bounds across the 45-yard line. Blazing speed, Dan?
Blazing speed. This is a guy who's run a 40 before in that 4.2 range. Has no NFL experience. I don't think he's got great hands, but Rex Ryan, smart. That's one way to get the ball in his hands. Get him out in the open field. The one thing you know for sure, nobody's going to catch him from behind.
David Nelson back on the field on 2nd and 3. This is Chris Ivory. Ivory across midfield to the 47, and that's a first down.
Well, here's Luke Kuechly. He's coming over. He sees that Santonio is getting into it with Captain Munnerlyn, number 41, and Kuechly, being the kind of guy he is, he's going to come over and try to let Santonio Holmes know, I'm watching. I see what's going on.
I thought he was a really nice guy when we talked to him.
Well, Kuechly, I'll tell you what he is. He's the best middle linebacker in the game of football right now. In his 2nd year.
First down for the Jets, and Smith to throw. And that one is complete inside the 40-yard line to Nelson once again.
And this is a good illustration of what the Jets coaching staff likes about Tino Smith. When he gets an opportunity, he can drive the football. You know, this is not bad coverage there by Drayton Florence. He's there fairly quickly. But he drives it. That ball is leaving a vapor trail on its way in.
Another first down. This one to the 36-yard line of the Panthers. Give it to Powell. Powell for a couple. And Kuechly making the stop on that one. You know, David Nelson giving this receiving corps a much-needed lift since Stephen Hill went on IR.
Well, it's a receiving corps that doesn't have a lot of playmakers. The good news for the Jets is that they got Jeremy Curley back after he missed 3 games with that dislocated elbow. He is the security blanket for Geno Smith.
Second and 8. Smith under pressure and goes down hard, courtesy of Greg Hardy.
At the bottom of your screen is Greg Hardy, and he just gets inside the rookie left guard, Brian Winters. Winters has had a real up and down year, but he has got to stand his ground at the left guard position. You can't give the inside to a guy like Hardy, who gets right into the grill of your quarterback. Not good.
Now 3rd and 14. Smith coming across the middle, and that's well short of a first down. That pass is completed to Bilal Powell. And onto the field will be the field goal unit.
And this will be a long field goal, 50 plus. 54 maybe?
54 it is. Let's see if they get it off before the end of the first quarter.
What wind there is at their back. I would think they'd like to do it.
Snap off. The kick is on its way, and it is good.
That was critical, Greg, that they got that kickoff before the end of the quarter because they had the wind at their back.
That is a season-long 54-yard field goal for Nick Folk. And we come to the end of the first quarter with a 3-3 tie. Back to Charlotte right after this. This is the NFL on CBS. We get set for the start of the second quarter. There aren't very many teams that score a lot of points on the Carolina Panthers in the first quarter coming into the game. They had allowed just 21 in the first quarter, the fewest in the NFL.
Well, nobody scores many points against them, period.
Yeah.
As they lead the league, giving up only 14.5 points a game. That is really low.
This is a short kick, and it comes down short of the 10-yard line, bouncing around, and let's see who covers it. Ted Ginn Jr. Looks like he may have recovered.
Boy, they made that a little more exciting than it needed to be.
So it is Carolina ball, but deep in their own territory, as we remind fantasy football fans. Keep the excitement going all postseason with Playoff Challenge, now with bigger cash prizes. See the rules and sign up at cbssports.com/challenge.
Well, the Carolina Panthers have a huge game here next week as the New Orleans Saints come into town. The Saints handed it to the Panthers last week in New Orleans, and a fear was that they might not be taking these Jets as seriously as maybe they should. I think it's apparent by now they got a ball game on their hands.
Newton throwing to the sideline. Nice grab made by Steve Smith out there. And this, if Cam Newton isn't the spark plug of this Panther offense, Steve Smith is.
Well, Steve Smith, in many ways, the leader of this team. Look at the way he goes back and just stabs that ball with his right hand and then redirects it back towards him. If Milliner would have been a little closer, that ball was kind of tantalizing floating out in the air there.
Number 1 in Carolina history in receptions, in yards, receiving touchdowns. He has done it all. D'Angelo Williams. Williams down at about the 17-yard line, and here comes Muhammad Wilkinson.
Yeah, this is his first appearance back on the field when we saw him leave. The drive ended, and he wasn't in on the first 2 snaps of this drive. So that's the very good news for the Jets. Wilkinson, Harrison, and Sheldon Richardson, that trio up front, they are 3 stout, athletic guys.
A lot of teams are jealous of that front.
Well, and then you put Copels and Pace on the outside of him. You've got something.
Newton now looking at a 3rd and 4. Under pressure, throwing, and that's complete. First down, Steve Smith, and more yardage across the 25 to about the 28-yard line. But we were talking with Antonio Cromartie. Steve Smith is talking all the time, and we asked Antonio, do you talk back? And he says, I don't ever talk.
No, he doesn't. He says he can talk all game. I don't care. But I just never respond. That time, Steve Smith made Antonio Allen miss.
Steve Smith just passed Charlie Joyner.
And there he is with Antonio Cromartie about 18 inches away.
This is Tolbert. And we got a penalty marker down on the far side of the field as Tolbert pulls his way out across the 30 to about the 32. Terry McCauley, the referee today.
Illegal formation, offense. Wide receiver covered an eligible receiver. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, sometimes the outside receiver won't be a yard off the ball if he's up on the line of scrimmage and he covers an eligible receiver to his inside. That's where that call came from.
Steve you can Smith see the Panthers are questioning it vigorously. Meanwhile, no play clock running yet. This is an extended conversation on the field.
Well, normally when a player comes in like Steve Smith and pleads his case, he doesn't get anywhere with it. Right? He's got him talking. I'll give him credit for that.
Meanwhile, this was a game that was going right along and then just hit a screeching halt.
There's no foul on the play. It was an ineligible receiver that was covered. It'll be second down.
Well, Steve Smith, a future trial lawyer, he pled his case and won. It doesn't happen very often. He said, hey, wait a minute, the guy I was covering was ineligible, so I'm perfectly legal being out there.
Now here comes another conference. What took him so long to reach that conclusion?
Terry McCauley's saying, let's reset the play clock and let's see if we can execute a play.
It's been about 5 minutes since the last play. 2nd and 7.
Hey, ready, Ricky! Ready, Ricky!
And Newton standing in. Oh, what a pass. And that penalty marker is thrown. That's complete to Brandon LaFell out to about the 45.
Kyle Wilson in coverage for the Jets. And again, when you talk to the Jets.
Defense number 31. Penalties decline. First down.
The penalty's on Cromartie for holding. But that, when you talk to the Jets and they talk about Cam Newton's ability to throw from the far hash all the way back across the field. Well, there's Cromartie. And man, he's got a death grip on Steve Smith. Newton gets bumped at the very end of that, but to be on the, and I don't know if somebody stepped on his foot, that's an owie, but to be on the far hash and throw it to the near sideline, that requires a little arm strength.
Straight back, wide open, complete, inside the 30 and out of bounds is Greg Olsen.
I mentioned earlier about Greg Olsen has really become Cam Newton's downfield threat. Steve Smith has 3 receptions of 20-plus yards. Greg Olsen now has 11 of those. Now that is, who would suspect that the tight end would be the go-to guy on the big plays, the big passing plays, the chunk plays, instead of Steve Smith.
Hey, start 2.
Greg Olsen has become a nice security blanket for Cam Newton. First down. This is Tolbert. And Tolbert fights his way close to the 25-yard line.
When we watch both of these teams attempt to hammer the football up in there, they both know it's going to be tough sledding, but you've got to do it. You've just got to do it if you're going to make your passing game viable. I don't think you have expectations of running the football for 150 yards today, but you've got to make the attempt, even if it's only 2 and 3 yards at a time.
Under 10 and a half to play here in the first half. Flips it to the near side. Williams, 20, 15, and cut down at about the 13-yard line. Number 27, Dean Milner, the rookie from Alabama.
Well, he's only got one blocker out in front of him. Travell Wharton, his left guard. Number 70, here he comes. And watch this block. He just crushes Demario Davis, excuse me. And again, Wharton, what a block on Davis. And he just puts him on his back. And the Jets were overloaded to the other side. Excellent call coming back.
This is a drive of 5 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. That pass to about the 6 to Steve Smith.
Well, how good a catch was that by Smith? To say that ball was a little hot. This was not a touch pass. That thing was rocketed in from Cam Newton. And look how, yeah, Cam's going, thank you, Steve. I made that a little harder on you than maybe it needed to be. That thing was smoking.
Gives the Panthers a 2nd and 4 at the 7-yard line. The pitch for D'Angelo Williams, left side, and out of bounds close to the 5. That'll be about 2 yards short of a first down, maybe 3 yards short, depending on where they spot it.
Carolina is an outstanding red zone team. You can see they ranked 4th with 25 touchdowns in 40 trips. This being their 41st trip into the red zone now at 62.5%. Those are numbers that are the envy of most teams in the NFL.
3rd and 3. And we get a whistle.
Jets are going to take
a
a
timeout.
Charge timeout.
So the Jets take a timeout. We'll take a break with 8:22 to play. And the Panthers knocking on the door.
Watch Antonio Cromartie, number 31. He realizes nobody has come over to get on top of Ted Ginn, who was in the slot. Cromartie was going outside for Steve Smith. He realized that nobody was in the slot. Good, smart play by Cromartie.
Although Rex Ryan was upset, that appears to have been a good call by Cromartie. Newton going to run for the first down now, up the middle to about the 2, and he'll be 1st and goal.
And that's where sometimes there's just no substitute for being big and strong. You have no fear. You see off the corner blitz, it's one layer deep in the middle. And Cam Newton, look, he gets in behind Wharton, and then he just knocks Wharton out of his way. Now that's when you're a big, strong quarterback, when you can turn your 310-pound guard into a projectile and send him forward.
1st and goal. Tolbert in the backfield. Newton's going to stop and throw it incomplete. Greg Olsen drifted into the end zone but was covered.
Well covered. The Panthers have run this play before, and it's taking advantage of Cam Newton's tremendous height and the ability to make that fake and then see over what's going on up front, but the Jets were all over that.
Yeah.
This drive approaching 7.5 minutes.
You're gonna sit.
Tolman bounced back at the 3. So the Jet defense stands tall. See if Muhammad Wilkinson had a say in this.
Well, just take a look at that. Jordan Gross, Wharton, the left guard. There is nothing in there. Again, he runs right into the back of Ben Hartsock, the backup tight end, and just credit the guys in white. They stood their ground. They won that battle in the trench.
3rd and goal.
Might be trying an edge on this one.
Newton throwing and incomplete. Well, let's see what Ron Rivera does here. He's been known to go for things on 4th down, but it looks like he's sending the field goal unit on it.
And as much as he hates to do this, I think he might be sensing that, given that he's playing the Jets and not a team like Carolina that's real explosive offensively, but this is frustrating. This is exactly what they did last week against New Orleans in a losing effort. Their first 2 scores were 3-pointers.
Cano from 22 yards out. So Carolina, 2 trips to the red zone, settled for 2 field goals. 6:46 to play in the first half. 6-3 Panthers. We have 6:46 to play here in the second quarter, and the Jets are about to get their hands on the football for the first time in this quarter. 15 plays, 85 yards.
Coaches love everything about those numbers except for the fact that it was a field goal instead of a touchdown at the end of the drive.
Kyle Wilson will not run this one out of the end zone, and so the Jets will start from their own 20-yard line when we come back to Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, with the playoff races heating up, download NFL Mobile to get live video access to exclusive premium content on your smartphone. Call *NFL to download or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more. Message and data rates may apply. Tino Smith and the Jets from their own 20-yard line. They'll start with Chris Ivory, left side for a couple, to about the 3-yard line where Captain Munnerlyn makes the stop.
Well, Tino Smith has been taking care of the football, but he's been under some pressure. Munnerlyn comes in on the corner blitz, ends up with the sack. Greg Hardy doesn't get the sack there, but he gets it there. But the important thing, no turnovers for the New York Jets.
Smith on the move and just throws it away. It'll be 3rd and 7.
Boy, well defended by the Panthers that time. They weren't surprised that Gino got to the outside, and he showed a little maturity. Sometimes you just got to cut bait, and that's exactly what he did right there. Get rid of the ball. Don't lose yardage. The Jets knew it was going to be a grind against this Carolina defense.
Smith with time this time. Lots of time. And over the middle, and he's got his man across the 40-yard line. David Nelson having himself a good day so far. That's a first down for the Jets.
Well, this time the Panthers are dropping back into a zone, and Nelson just sits down, and he's really wide open. He is. That was not very well contested at all by Carolina. Tino Smith had all the time in the world, a good pocket, nice job of blocking by his front wall. He was able to step into that and take his time.
Nelson now with 3 catches for 44 yards. Off the left side, Chris Ivory to the 30 and out of bounds at the Carolina 25, knocked out by Mike Mitchell.
Boy, is that a good looking play, and talk about being well blocked on the left-hand side. DeBrickashaw Ferguson gets a huge block, taking Greg Hardy all the way down to the inside. And that misdirection right there gets Kuechly caught up in traffic. That was really a nifty little piece of ball handling, and Beautiful block.
35-yard pickup, and here's Bilal Powell. And Powell inside the 10 to the 9. It'll be first and goal. Mike Mitchell made the tackle there.
And all of a sudden, this #1 ranked rush defense is getting gashed. Just old-fashioned power football. That time left guard Brian Winters gets a good trap block. Mangold. Willie Colon, good job on the inside. And all of a sudden right now, you know, these guys from Carolina are going, what the heck is happening? They're not used to this.
On first and goal. Ivory in the backfield. Ivory with the football tripped up, and he'll lose a yard or so. Quinton Michael coming up from his safety position to help with the stop. And we have a Jet down. And that is number 77, Austin Howard, the right tackle. Austin Howard was able to walk off the field by himself, being looked at. Vladimir Dukas, number 62, has replaced him at right tackle as the Jets now from their own 10-yard line on second and goal. The Panthers have only allowed 16 touchdowns this season. That's the best in the NFL. Terrific in the red zone. Smith to throw. This side of the field, incomplete. Santonio Holmes covered by Drayton Florence.
Santonio Holmes is beefing to the side judge that he didn't get the call here, and there's no doubt that Florence has got his hands on him, and Holmes, he's really trying to sell it. I'll give him credit for that. He's throwing himself backwards, making it look like Florence pushed him.
Marty Morningweg wants to come away from this with a touchdown rather than a field goal. Third and goal. Smith flips it out to this side, and that is incomplete, intended for Bohannon out of the backfield.
Well, a good blitz beater is a screen, but that time Gino was never able to set his feet because of that blitz, and he wasn't able to direct a very good throw. And you knew there'd be bad blood this week when Santonio Holmes made that comment about the Panthers secondary being the weak link. He's the least surprised person in this stadium that they'll be jawing at him the entire game.
But he'd better produce today. Fourth and goal, 28-yard field goal attempt by Nick Folk.
Five-yard penalty.
And delay a game will back them up 5 yards.
Rex Ryan is not happy about pre-snap penalties against his team, but in this situation, that's no big deal. That's really not a big deal. Backs him up 5 yards, but this is still what should be a chip shot field goal.
That's the 48th pre-snap penalty for the Jets. They lead the league in that category. Folk's kick is good. And so just under 3:50 to play. We're tied at 6. Geno Smith was looking for more than that. Back to Carolina in just a moment. Welcome back to Charlotte, where the Jets get set to kick it away. Nick Folk will do the honors. Ted Ginn and Kenyon Barner deep in the Carolina end zone.
Ted Ginn has been a wonderful signing for the Panthers.
By Ted Ginn. Almost broke free out across the 25, and he's down at about the 27 or 28-yard line. Hey, tonight it's the most secretive and controversial spy agency in the world. So why did the NSA open their doors and speak to 60 Minutes? Find out tonight only. CBS. Well, Dan, there's no question the Jets have had their problems on the road this year. They come into this game having won just 1 out of the 6 games they've played on the road, and every one of them talked about how they'd love to get back to that feeling they had in Atlanta earlier this year.
Well, Greg, not only have they not played well on the road, they haven't been competitive. And 4 of those losses were just outright blowouts.
Newton spins around. D'Angelo Williams running room, midfield, and more. 30, down the sideline. D'Angelo Williams for the touchdown.
The old man still has some speed. Well, first of all, watch the ball handling by Cam Newton, selling the screen to the left, come back with an isolated screen on the right. He gets a block from his center, Ryan Khalil, and then downfield, it's Brandon LaFell, number 11, who makes it happen. He gets on D. Milliner, and Milliner doesn't get off that block. Milliner has got to fight his way to the sideline to keep that from happening.
72 yards.
Great job of selling the screen to the left by Cam Newton before he comes back to the right.
The extra point is good. Not much time off the clock at all on that drive, was there?
Here's D'Angelo Williams, who's going to come out after the fake. But I want you to look at Ed Reed. Cam Newton sells this screen to this direction. Look how much he moves Ed Reed. And then Ed Reed, who's center field, takes a bad angle and right there comes in behind D'Angelo Williams instead of taking an angle to cut him off and force him back to the middle. But Cam Newton, talk about moving the free safety. He moved Ed Reed a good 5 yards with selling that screen to the other side.
Carolina has had 3 plays today of 20 or more yards. They were last in the NFL coming in. A reminder for you, Thursday on CBS, No Mystery Why Elementary is a hit. Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu star in Elementary, Thursday at 10, 9 Central only, CBS. We're seeing some big chunks of yardage considering we've got 2 top-flight defenses playing here today.
Well, and the big surprise, the Jets and how well they're running the football. They've got 86 yards rushing already. Keep in mind, Carolina only gives up less than 80 all season long per game.
So here's Tino Smith now. The Jets down a touchdown. Under 3.5 to play in the first half. They give us to Bilal Powell. And Powell for a few. Fewest in the NFL of 30 or more yards.
And he's got a pair of them in the first half of this game. They know that's got to make him happy. Right now, Geno Smith just can't try to do too much.
On 2nd and 6. Tino Smith going down, back to 17. Luke Kuechly.
Well, Captain Munnerlyn comes on the blitz again. Up top, you see Munnerlyn come in, number 40. Now, he's initially picked up by Bilal Powell, but it forces Geno Smith up into the middle, and that's where Kuechly, coming on the green dog, a little delayed blitz, is there to clean it up. Bilal Powell did his job picking up Munnerlyn, but it messed up the play for Geno.
3rd and 13. Smith over the middle. That's complete to Powell. And Powell not going to get much past the 20-yard line before you-know-who makes the stop. Luke Kuechly grew up in Cincinnati, a Bengals fan.
First,
they love him here in Carolina.
Timeout, Carolina.
And Carolina takes a timeout to save some clock.
Timeout.
Well, why wouldn't you love Luke Kuechly? This guy can run. His instincts are off the chart. And just take a look at that. Look at that tackle. You know, that's why you call a guy a tackling machine. Look at him form up, drive through, wrap up, everything that's textbook about how to tackle somebody demonstrated there by Luke Kuechly. And by the way, he went to Boston College. I said, did Ohio State offer you? And he said, nope. They didn't need me. They thought they were just fine without me.
You were dying to get that line in, weren't you?
Well, Michigan didn't offer him either, so it's...
Ted Ginn Jr. is deep. Fair catch called for. And a sliding catch made at about the 44-yard line of the Carolina Panthers.
Well, as we come up on the 2-minute warning, let's check in with what Cam Newton's been doing today. That was a beautiful strike downfield to Brandon LaFell, and then Greg Olsen, his go-to guy, and then this touchdown throw and run by D'Angelo Williams. Man, D'Angelo's been doing it for a while, and he just outruns everybody from the Jets. And of course, that long play to D'Angelo Williams, that'll inflate your yardage, but 9 out of 12, that's a good day's work.
That doesn't hurt the numbers.
No, that's a nice little percentage for you. I think 75% is good.
D'Angelo Williams in the backfield with Newton. We're 8 seconds shy of the 2-minute warning. Same style of play that scored the touchdown. That one to D'Angelo Williams, and that one cut down as we reach the 2-minute warning.
That is the 2-minute warning.
2 minutes to play here in Carolina. It's the Panthers 13-6. A reminder, the Verizon Halftime Report coming your way in 2 minutes of playing time. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and the coach. Scores, highlights, playoff update coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Newton from his own 46. And that is caught. What a pass and what a catch by Greg Olsen. To the 30.
This chemistry between Olsen and Cam Newton, and that's what's known as throwing your receiver open, because Kyle Wilson has pretty good coverage to the inside by going back shoulder. Newton threw him open.
Newton under pressure, and he goes down at the 36-yard line, and Quentin Poples led that charge. Poples, the second-year linebacker out of North Carolina.
Well, another one of the #1 draft picks for the Jets, and gets it done.
Clock continues to move, 70 seconds to play.
Well, the Panthers with 2 timeouts remaining, electing to save them, hoping they can cover a little ground here.
Here's a screen for Tolbert, and Tolbert's going to run outside, out of bounds, just inside the 30-yard line. And that'll stop the clock with 1 minute exactly.
You know, one of the things that the Jets have been worried about is they love to play man coverage, and Rex Ryan knows that one of the big problems when you play man coverage is if the quarterback leaves the pocket, your defenders don't realize it because they've got their back turned and they're running with receivers downfield, and he's just really worried about what's going to happen if Cam Newton finds himself out in space and they're in man coverage. Tremendous first half, yardage-wise in the passing game for the Carolina Panthers. Thanks to D'Angelo Williams.
Newton gonna run with it and tracked down from behind, short of the first down by Sheldon Richardson.
Boy, Sheldon Richardson, what a play by a defensive end. Their #1 draft pick this year. Look, he's got Newton by just one hand on the back of his jersey. He's got 2 fingers on Cam Newton and has the athletic ability to drag him down. That's why you get drafted in the first round.
And there is no field goal unit on the field for Ron Rivera.
Well, they're going to use one of their timeouts and talk about it.
And they'll use it right now and stop the clock with 13 seconds to play in the first half. We'll be back. Well, Ron Rivera has sent his field goal unit on the field, but meanwhile, Cam Newton looks to be in a little distress after this.
Yeah, let's watch how does Richardson land on his. Well, I didn't see anything. It didn't look like he got, but he's in pain when he gets over to the sideline. He's wincing there, but as he sat down on the bench, he was in some real discomfort as the Panthers medical staff came over to look at him.
Meanwhile, the Jets use a second timeout here, and that was called just before the snap of the ball. So each team down now to 1 timeout remaining here in the first half as we check out the AFC playoff picture. New England a loser today. Cincinnati still to play. Kansas City is winning. Miami beat the Patriots. Baltimore to play tomorrow night.
And Cincinnati, they play Pittsburgh later, and keep in mind that Cincinnati owns the tiebreaker with New England. So if the Bengals are to win, they vault into the number 2 seed.
So here is Gano from 40 yards out. And that one is right down the pipe. Carolina's lead is 10 at 16-6 with 8 seconds on the clock.
Well, Cam Newton's going to get all of halftime, but I'm telling you, he's not happy. Something is really sore. Again, Sheldon Richardson drags him down from behind. Oh, right there, his right foot. It looked like his right foot somehow got caught and twisted at an angle. And again, I'm only speculating on that. It looked like his foot got caught, but Newton's going to get a head start on the team and head into the locker room. Right there. It looked like maybe his right foot ankle, but there's no question Cam Newton's in pain.
So he gets a head start for the locker room.
And Cam Newton is a pretty stoic guy. That is unusual for him to be that expressive and showing some pain. He's a big, tough guy.
You know, a paper cut under the nail ruins my week.
Well, we could catch a million shots of you making that face. That wouldn't be newsworthy.
Kyle Wilson. Will he run this one out? He will not. So Tino Smith and company will start from the 20-yard line. And you really don't expect much more than Jets running out the clock here and going to the locker room trailing by 10.
Well, the Jets, not a turnover. Panthers don't either. Now, Tino Smith does have a huge arm if they just wanted to launch one down the field, but they're not going into the victory formation.
No, Santonio Holmes to one side, Curley and Nelson to the near side.
You know, maybe hope for a penalty.
They'll run it up the middle with Jamaal Charles. And with that, the first half will come to an end.
See, if you're going to just run a play like that, I don't know why you just don't kneel on it. Why run the risk of injury?
Or a scrum at midfield. So the combatants are separated. They'll take to the locker room and talk about it as we come to the end of the first half. Carolina scored on its last 4 drives, 16-6 Panthers. We're back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. D'Angelo Williams running room left side. Smith under pressure and goes down hard, courtesy of Greg Hardy. Running room down the sideline. D'Angelo Williams for the touchdown. Welcome back to Charlotte, where the Carolina Panthers are leading the Jets by a score of 16-6, and the big play in that first half, Newton to Williams. And football like you've never heard. And football like you've never heard it, presented by Sonos. And the New York Jets are going to get their hands on the football first here in the second half. That is Kyle Wilson. They haven't had much chance to return a kickoff yet today. Graham Gano's been doing a good job of starting the Jets at their own 20-yard line. Wilson deep. And this one sails way through the end zone. He'll start at the 20-yard line as we welcome you back, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. The question is, how bad is Cam Newton's injury? This coming on the heels of his best first half of his career, 224 yards passing. And
he was on his way to a big play, and he got dragged down from behind by Sheldon Richardson. And he's been evaluated by the medical staff at halftime. We have not yet received a word from the Panthers, but there he is warming up. That's a live shot of Cam over on the sideline, looking like a guy getting ready to come in when the Panthers get the ball.
Meanwhile, Geno Smith comes out throwing. No, he doesn't. He gets ripped by Captain Munnerlyn.
Well, that is at least the third time, and there may have been four, where Captain Munnerlyn has come on a corner blitz off the edge, and that time comes from the backside. Geno senses it, fortunately, about a half a second before he gets there, so he's not completely surprised by it. But even then, you saw the ball come temporarily just a little bit loose.
Fourth time today that Geno Smith has been sacked. 2nd and 18.
Sean McDermott, the defensive coordinator, is calling a great game.
Chris Ivory twists his way out to the 14-yard line, and Munnerlyn in on that stop. As you take a look at the first half numbers, you mentioned this at the close of the first half, Dan. Neither team has turned it over yet, but Carolina, with if time of possession means anything to you, then the Carolina Panthers are the best in the league.
Well, the turnovers, more of a storyline going in for the Jets because of their proclivity in doing so.
That pass over the middle, incomplete, through the hands of Jeremy Curley.
Well, and in that situation, that Curley was open, and it looked like that throw from Geno wasn't quite as accurate as he would have liked.
So there's Ted Ginn Jr., who came into this game number 3 in the league in punt return average, bringing it back an average of 13.2 yards a try.
What's been surprising for Ted Ginn have been his contributions as a receiver. 3 years in San Francisco, he barely even mattered in the passing game.
Ginn going to get a chance to run this one back from his own 31-yard line. Midfield. 45 and down. We have a penalty marker down on the far side of the field.
It's right at the 40-yard line, right in front of the Jets bench.
During the kick, holding, receiving team, number 32. 10-yard penalty, first down. Correction, number 22.
Yeah, 22 is Josh Thomas, third-year defensive back out of Buffalo. And there is Cam Newton.
A pretty impressive first half for Cam Newton, only 3 incompletions.
The foul occurred during the kick. The penalty is forced from the end of the kick.
Well, that is really a costly penalty for the Carolina Panthers, who would have started well on the other side of the 50-yard line and now find themselves back at their own 20.
So here's Cam Newton, and we'll see just how mobile Newton can be here in the second half. Carolina has scored on each of its last 4 possessions, 3 field goals and a touchdown. Newton throwing far side of the field. That is complete. And moving for the first down is Brandon LaFell.
Well, that's just pitch and catch material if the Jets are going to give that much range. Certainly there's no exterior taping on any of the lower extremities there of Cam Newton. I don't know that they didn't take the socks off and do something underneath. They certainly had time to do so at halftime. If the Jets are going to sit back and give that much of a cushion, he'll take advantage of that.
This is D'Angelo Williams, and Williams for about 5 to the 35, where David Harris makes the tackle. As just told you, the last 4 possessions by the Carolina Panthers resulted in scores.
Been a lot of creative play calling in there. Again, the faking of the screen to the left, coming back to the right. That was the big play for D'Angelo Williams, and it really caught the Jets unaware. Some good downfield blocking. It's been a team effort for Carolina.
LaFell in motion. This is Newton going to pitch it for Ted Ginn Jr. this side of the field and running room, and across the 45 to about the 48-yard line where Demario Davis tracks him down.
Well, again, when Cam Newton takes off with the football, he's going to take the defense with him. You know, even though it was about 5 or 6 steps before he flips it back to Ginn, that is enough to get the entire Jets defense in motion. And Ted Ginn Jr. has found a new life here in Carolina. That guy had only 33 receptions in 3 full seasons in San Francisco. He was just almost exclusively used in the return game, and that was about it.
Newton with time. Wide open at the 35 to the 32 is Olsen. And if that foot off of which Newton pushes is damaged, it doesn't show.
No. And again, he's got to be thrilled. That ball a little bit behind Greg Olsen, but he's able to go back and get it. And when you look at the footwork, stepping, driving, from that angle and that look, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with Cam Newton. Might be a little sore, but it certainly doesn't seem to be a hindrance.
Carolina first down at the Jet 33. This is Tolbert. And Tolbert gets yanked back to the 34 by Quentin Coples.
Quentin Coples that time right here. Is he going to come inside? Oh, I take it back. That wasn't Cole. That was Wilkinson I circled. There he gets him right there. Perfectly legal. Quentin Coples coming in off the bottom. Nothing wrong with that. The crowd booed. They thought that maybe there was something illegal or face mask or whatever with that tackle attempt by Coples.
By the way, Mike Tolbert at 5'9", 245. That is a low center of gravity. On 2nd and 11, Newton gonna run with it and slides down at about the 32 or the 31-yard line.
Well, Cam Newton being very cautious. We saw him on the first drive of the game being cautious when he got out in the open field and, you know, choosing to do the hook slide and not take the hit. But I'm telling you right now, Cam Newton is not, he didn't look like that felt all that good either. And again, you can see that he had to break his forward momentum with both his right and his left foot. He gives the air of someone who's just not 100%.
Newton throws far sideline, and that one is on the money and complete to Ted Ginn. And that's a first down. Ginn out of bounds at the Jet 22.
Well, talk about tight-roping the sideline. Take a look at this. You know, another missed tackle. Darren Walls that time. And look at Ted Ginn. Fight the sideline. His momentum is really dragging him out. But look how well he was able to stay in bounds and move the sticks. And the Jets right here are up against it. They're already 2 scores behind.
7 straight completions thrown by Newton. This is D'Angelo Williams. And Williams breaks it to the outside and out of bounds at the 14. D. Milner ran him out. And Mike Shula mixing up the play calling very well right now.
Well, he lost one of his weapons, Jonathan Stewart, who's got an MCL injury, and he's going to be out for an undetermined amount of time. But D'Angelo Williams in his 8th year still getting it done.
For the 4th time tonight, a Carolina drive goes at least 50 yards. Kenyon Barner in the backfield now with Tolbert. Newton in trouble. Escapes. Looking and throws it away. So it'll be 3rd and 2. It's been
look
a
at the
66-yard drive.
Yeah, look at the balance there by Carolina. 5 rushes, 4 passes. That time Cam Newton, when he came out, he was surprised to have Muhammad Wilkinson right in his face. And that was some little move he put on Wilkinson to freeze him and buy some time to get to the outside where he could just toss it away. That was pretty slick.
3rd and 2.
Here comes the blitz.
Newton throwing incomplete inside the 10-yard line, intended for Olsen. And Ron Rivera will he not send the field goal unit on?
He has not sent it yet.
They return to the sideline.
Well, here he is now. He's up by 10 points. He's got a 2-score lead. And again, I think this is just his feeling that the Jets offensively are not much of a threat to his defense.
Carolina 10 out of 12 on 4th down attempts.
Well, we might see how healthy Cam Newton is here.
Newton pulls it down once, twice, and then gets hit. That is a forward pass, and it's incomplete.
I think Quentin Coples was the guy who got in there on Newton.
Good pressure by the Jet defense, and they'll take over on downs. 7:50 to play in the 3rd. Austin Howard is back in at right tackle. You'll recall he went out with an injury late in the first half. And Tino Smith back to work on offense. From his own 14-yard line, they give us to Chris Ivory, and Ivory pulls his way out across the 20-yard line.
Well, keep in mind, Greg, that so far in this game, the Jets are running the football at almost 7 yards a clip. So they've got, they're down by 10 points. They can't veer away from what has been moderately successful for them, and that's, well, their running game's being more than moderately successful. 6 points scored isn't successful, but they've got to keep running at this Carolina defense. They're having success doing so.
Smith on 2nd and 4. On the move, and he's going to run. Looking for the first down. He has that, and out of bounds at about the 29-yard line, and we have a penalty marker down. Back at the 21-yard line.
This was thrown on the opposite side of the formation.
Holding, defense number 76. 5-yard penalty added to the end of the play. Automatic first down.
That penalty is on defensive end Greg Hardy.
Now, sometimes a defensive lineman will get flagged for grabbing a back, trying to come out of the backfield and get out in a pattern, and they try to fake it, act like he thought he had the football or something.
The Jets have been a perfect 3-0 against the NFC South this season. They've beaten Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and New Orleans. First down now from the 34-yard line, and this is Bilal Powell for a couple.
Cam over on the Carolina bench. Yeah. He saw somebody open that he didn't see, which, by the way, happens a lot to quarterbacks. You're running around for your life back there. It's impossible to see all of your guys on all parts of the field. I think as a quarterback, that's just something you've got to get over. It happens a lot.
Meanwhile, Santonio Holmes, with that big pronouncement midweek, has no catches today so far. Smith to the near side, going to go deep. Has Hakeem and overthrows him and out of bounds.
Well, the out of bounds was the bad part. That ball from Tino Smith was about 4 yards out of bounds.
We asked Tino Smith, can he outthrow the speed of Salim Hakeem? And I think he said he did it once.
He said he tried and couldn't do it, but did it once. But you got to give a guy a chance to make a play on it. You can't just throw it that far out of bounds.
3rd and 7. Here they come after Smith. Smith on the move, throwing over the middle, wide open, complete to Cumberland. Cumberland to the 40, 35, and out of bounds at the Carolina 30-yard line. They'll mark it at the 28.
Well, I think Luke Kuechly has the coverage on Cumberland, And this coverage is the part of the football game that Luke Kuechly is still trying to get better at doing. Now, it's impossible for me to say whether he had the primary coverage, as Gino pays a price for that completion. But Cumberland was really left all alone. He was a pretty inviting target for Tino Smith that time.
First down at the Carolina 28. Smith on the move, throws the screen. This is Powell. Powell to the 20, spinning forward to the 15-yard line. Great hands by Bilal Powell.
I love a good-looking screen, but Powell has to go high for that ball. He's able to make the hands catch. And he's got three guys out in front. Mangold was out in front, Willie Colon was out front, and Tommy Bohannon is fullback. And this is an impressive drive coming at a very opportune time for the Jets.
New set of downs at the Carolina 15. We'll give it to Ivory, and Ivory for about 3, maybe 4 to the 11-yard line. Greg Hardy with the stop.
You know, Greg, when Ron Rivera decided to go for it on 4th down back there, he did not envision that the Jets offense would pick this opportunity to come to life. And that's exactly what's happened.
2nd and 6. Ivory again alongside Smith in the backfield. Going to look through the corner of the end zone, and that's incomplete, and flags fly.
Yeah,
and that is Santonio Holmes being covered by Melvin White.
Well, he was being held by Melvin White.
That's a form of coverage.
Yes.
Illegal though it may be.
Pass interference. Defense number 23. Automatic first down. Number 62.
Holmes makes his inside move, and right there, White knows he's finished. If he doesn't grab Santonio Holmes, and if he doesn't try to delay his going to the corner, that's going to be a touchdown. Good
so the
route.
Jets, first and goal.
Good route there, Greg, by Holmes.
Sheldon Richardson in the backfield to block. He gets the handoff, going straight ahead, and is stopped just shy of the goal line.
I'm not sure he stopped yet. He finally falls into the end zone, but long after the whistles blew.
All 6'3", 294 pounds.
Look at him drive in there, boy, and I'm telling you, he came awfully close to breaking the plane. Kuechly takes him on, and Kuechly's going, whoa, where did this guy come from? The problem is the ball was down there in that scrum. No way could you see that.
Richardson still in there. In front of Ivory. He gets it again. Did he cross the goal line? No call yet.
Charles Johnson comes out holding the football.
Touchdown.
Well, like all scoring plays, this will be reviewed, but keep in
luck
mind,
with that one.
Yeah, keep in mind, to be effectively reviewed, you have to be able to see the football. I'm not sure that that's going to be possible on a review.
Although since this call has been made as a touchdown, you're going to have to see an awful lot to overturn it.
Well, you would. Oh, and you can see he reaches right across. I would believe that goes as confirmation. Well, how about that? A defensive lineman gets back-to-back carries.
And a touchdown.
And a touchdown. He's living the dream for defensive guys.
Folks' extra point is good. The Jets jump right back into this one. 3:04 to play in the third. 16-13 and on the sideline. Hey, Mr. Richardson's a hero. Back here in Carolina. 9-play drive. 86 yards in 4:46. And Sheldon Richardson scoring the touchdown. The Jets down 3. And this taken at the 5 by Kenyon Barnett. Out across the 20 to about the 22-yard line. 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. On fourth down, Ron Rivera and the Panthers went for it, didn't make it. The Jets came right back with the big guy for the touchdown. A rare touchdown scored on Ron Rivera's defense.
And that explains why he's comfortable going for it.
Sure.
On 4th and 2. You don't figure the Jets are going to go 86 yards and score a touchdown.
Newton, this side of the field. That's complete to Olsen. Quick glance at the NFC playoff picture. Seattle is in. New Orleans losing. Big. Philadelphia a loser today. Chicago a winner. Carolina with a win here would leapfrog San Francisco. And the Dallas Cowboys are winning as we speak.
The surprise in that little bundle was the fact that New Orleans is getting pummeled by the Rams, who haven't been pummeling anyone lately.
On first down, this is D'Angelo Williams. You know, we asked Ron Rivera about that penchant he has for going for it on fourth down, and he was very honest about it. He said he takes the temperature of his team, but he also has a pretty talented offense led by a pretty talented quarterback that he believes in.
Well, and he went back the last couple of years and looked at situation. Every single one of them where he decided to eschew going for it and kick a field goal, and he said, you know what, I realized that I made poor decisions on some of those. And if I'm going to make a mistake now, I'm going to err on the side of being aggressive.
This is Williams, right side, trying to turn the corner, and does. Breaking tackles. That'll be a first down for Carolina.
D'Angelo Williams is running hard. Take a look at this, the old-fashioned sweep. Got a good block by his center, Ryan Khalil, and then he runs through a couple tackles. And that's Demario Davis, who's a really good tackler, and D'Angelo Williams runs right through that attempt.
So Williams with a breather on the sideline now as you look at the total yards put up today by Carolina. Tolbert in the backfield. Tolbert gets the handoff. Changes direction. Comes this way to the 40.
Well, they call that leaving through the back door, although we've got a flag thrown and it's coming back.
Offense, number 67. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Khalil, the center.
The Pro Bowl center. And again, he looks up at the video board to try to figure out what he did.
Because he doesn't know. You lineman, honest to goodness, what did I do?
Well, of course, what stance would you like him to take there? It's not like he just has to do a victory lap walking around saying, I'm sorry, I held the guy.
I think you guys look up at the scoreboard and go, which one did I get called for?
Hey, sometimes they called you incorrectly. It was the other guy that held.
First and 20. Deep drop for Newton. Running out of time now. Going to run for it. There's a penalty marker down. And he cuts it back, and he's knocked out of bounds short of midfield. And you get the feeling this is coming back.
Offense number 70. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Travell Wharton guilty of the hold.
Man, and when the Panthers really need a calming drive to let their defense gather themselves after getting gashed a little bit by the Jets, to have, consecutive holding calls there. There's Wharton, number 70. You can see that he's got the arms all around Leger Douzable.
And Dan, you get the feeling with the time running down here in the third quarter that we may be seeing a little momentum shift down on the field.
Well, certainly that's what Rex's team did when they scored a touchdown, and now facing a 1st and 30. Now, if you want to see momentum shift, if a team gets out of a 1st and 30 and moves the chains, that's demoralizing.
Newton in the face of a rush and almost threw the pick at the 40-yard line. Ed Reed made the dive for it. It'll be 2nd and 30.
And there have been various times in this game where Cam Newton has been forced to hold the ball for a long time. And you see his arm got grazed right there. Harrison put a hand on it, on his forearm while he was throwing. But Newton has struggled at times to find open receivers. Now, he's struggling because his receivers aren't open. So give the Jets a lot of credit there, but he's been standing in that pocket for long periods of time, sometimes taking the sack, oftentimes taking a hit.
Play clock running down. Got the snap off. Give us to Tolbert straight ahead. And Tolbert is stacked up, and this Jet defense is fired up. Fired up. Copels and David Harris combine as the clock will run down here in the third quarter. What does the fourth quarter hold? We've played three here in Charlotte.
The third quarter.
16-13 Panthers. Back after this message and a word from your local station. Well, look at how our two quarterbacks here stack up today so far as we welcome you back for the start of the fourth quarter. Our producer Mark Wolf, our director Bob Fishman, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, and our terrific CBS Sports crew. Here in North Carolina, 15 minutes to play. 3rd and 29. Newton rolls. Time. Gonna go deep. And incomplete. Steve Smith, the intended receiver downfield. Had to stop, turn around, change directions a couple times.
Yeah, he was making a valiant effort to try to adjust on this ball. Landry's there, and then again, that's good work by Dwan Landry. He didn't give Steve Smith the middle of the field. He's got every right to occupy that space. Steve Smith knew it and just wasn't able to react back to the ball. You don't spend a lot of time practicing 3rd and 29.
So here's Kyle Wilson. Caught and hit immediately at about the 29-yard line. Colin Jones making the tackle. So that's where Geno Smith and the Jet offense will get started. So you know Geno Smith and the Jets would like to put together a drive of some significance here.
Well, none today. That's the critical part of that.
This is Ivory. Ivory going nowhere, and we get a flag. Greg Hardy made the stop.
I think Brian Winters, the left guard.
Holding offense number 67. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So that'll back the Jets up.
And all of a sudden, the holding calls are
increasing,
coming in bunches. 2 of them against the Panthers, their last go-round, and now on the first play of the Jets drive, they return the favor.
1st and 20 from their own 19. Geno Smith rolling, looking, throwing. It is caught, but out of bounds.
And impossible to catch that inbounds.
Let's get an update from the NFL Today in New York. JB and the coach.
A nice way to cap a 16-play drive.
Well, it sure is, JB. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to find Delaney Walker in the back of the end zone after the play action, and Tennessee takes the lead over Arizona 17-13.
All right, let's take it back to our guys. That will be Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf.
All right, guys, thank you very much. As you take a peek at the AFC playoff picture, Geno Smith looking at a 2nd and 20. Ivory breaking tackles across the 25 and out to about the 27-yard line.
And that is the way Chris Ivory has run the ball ever since he came to the Jets in that trade with New Orleans earlier this year. He has brought an attitude. He has brought physical and mental toughness. He just runs right over Mike Mitchell and keeps right on going. And then he takes on Kuechly. But Ivory has been doing that all year long. What an attitude.
3rd and 12. More than just a few Jets fans here in Carolina. And Geno Smith calls timeout.
First, charge timeout.
So either the Jets weren't lined up quite right or Geno wanted to take a break. They'll talk about it on the sideline while we remind you next Sunday the NFL on CBS doubles down the playoff drive. Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos up against Andre Johnson and the Houston Texans. And then it's Brady against Flacco. or the Steelers taking on the Packers. Check your local listings. It all begins with JB, Dan, Coach, Shannon, and Boomer on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines.
Well, here comes the Jets with wholesale substitutions. Tino Smith comes back out onto the field with 4 new members of the offensive unit. So whatever look they gave the Panthers last time is not the look they're getting here.
See the Jets 0 for 5 on third down conversions today. Smith trying to take off with it and can't get away. K1 short, number 99.
You're exactly right. And again, Geno Smith has a lot of time to try to find somebody. There's Curley. Smith deemed that he wasn't open enough to risk a throw. Nelson working the outside, but by that time, Geno Smith is on the move, and he thought he was going to be able to run for it until Short grabbed his jersey.
Covered by the Jets, but this is going to give the Panthers great field position. Jason Williams with the block.
Well, right up the middle. Right up the middle. The kicker has nowhere to go. Right in the gap between the center and the left guard. Whoa, you can't make a mistake like that and release a guy right into the middle. That was surprisingly easy for Jason Williams. And Quigley never, ever had a chance. It's one thing to have a pressure off the edge where maybe a guy gets a finger on the football, but to let a guy come into the A-gap and right upfield, a major error.
65 career punts, first one Ryan Quigley has had blocked. D'Angelo Williams spinning to the 10.
Now here again, Rex Ryan is asking a lot of his defense, because if they can limit Carolina to a field goal here, that's still a one-score football game. This is the kind of position that the Jets defense has been finding themselves in an awful lot this season, mostly because the offense hasn't been getting it done. That time a special teams failure.
Third trip to the red zone for the Carolina Panthers. They have scored no touchdowns there so far. This is D'Angelo Williams to the 5, to the 3. It'll be first and goal.
Well, D'Angelo Williams that time finds a nice hole going off the left side. You see pulling around, comes Handgartner. He gets up there, gets a good block to the inside. Jordan Gross, the left tackle. Good double team going down with Khalil. That's good positive push that time to move the sticks.
Carolina with 4 shots now at the end zone from the 3, and Newton calls timeout.
First, charge timeout.
First timeout called by the Panthers here in the second half. We'll take a break. Dan, you and I have been speculating as to the Panthers' best way to the end zone here, and both D'Angelo Williams and Mike Tolbert have been running the ball really well so far tonight.
D'Angelo Williams has really, I thought, run with attitude. Jeff Handgartner is at an eligible position. Backup offensive lineman.
This is Tolbert. Tolbert. Touchdown.
Well, that is where Tolbert appeared to be stopped short of the goal line, and then the scrum and the momentum of the scrum carried him into the end zone. Tolbert gets stood up right there, and then there's a pretty good push. And you can see Nate Chandler, number 78, he pulls around, and he's one of the guys that gets a good shove going in there. And Brian Khalil, the center, and they get a good surge going because David Harris got in there and initially stood Tolbert up. but he just couldn't keep him out.
And my guess is we get a break here while they review this. Well, McCauley is still reviewing under the hood.
Well, it's so close, Greg. It's just a question, can he get a good look at exactly when Tolbert's knee touches down in relationship to where the football is and the goal line? Keep in mind, this was called a touchdown. You can't see exactly where his knee touches, nor can you see exactly where the football. This will be interesting if he has enough to overturn.
After review, the runner's knee is down with the ball just short of the goal line. It'll be second down.
So he did see enough to overturn the call.
And again, it's just one guy's opinion. And, you know, you can see that that's razor close. You have to surmise. Now, you can piece these different replays together and draw your conclusion. And Terry McCauley felt that he saw enough
63 eligible
to spot it at about the 6-inch line.
So second and goal from very close. And Tolbert in the backfield behind Newton. Joined now by Richie Brockman. Tolbert walks into the end zone.
Well, they won't need to review that. Going right back to the same side of the football. In behind Jordan Gross and Gartner, the backup offensive lineman who's playing tight end to the left side. Nate Chandler pulls around on the, and just a walk-in. Well, the Jets were betrayed by their special teams, and it cost them a touchdown.
The extra point, Carolina now matches its biggest lead of the day. It's 23-13. The blocked punt gave the Panthers the ball deep in Jet territory. Tolbert converts the touchdown. So it's a 10-point lead once again for the Carolina Panthers, and Rex Ryan's team looking at an uphill battle with 11:05 to play.
Well, it's got to be so frustrating. You fight your way back into this game. Your offense puts together a great drive, and then you give up a block punt.
Kyle Wilson not going to run this one out of the end zone, and the Jets will start from their own 20-yard line. Gives us an opportunity to remind you that coming up, time permitting after the game, the Subway postgame show. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher with the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Subway postgame show. 6 times this year, Jets have been down by 10 or more points in the fourth quarter. Haven't rallied to win any of those games.
Well, and Tino Smith, only 3 receivers have caught passes for the Jets. Nelson, Cumberland, and Powell. Holmes and Curley shut out.
Smith throws far side of the field, and that's complete. It's Antonio Holmes with his first catch of the night. And San Antonio understandably getting a little grief. He's the one with the big pronouncement midweek about the Panther secondary.
Well, he's working against the rookie Melvin White, who put the capital C in cushion right there as he gave San Antonio about 5 free yards.
Second and 1. And this is Ivory, and Ivory hit hard at the line of scrimmage, led by Chase Blackburn.
That was a big-time collision.
Now that's the kind of hit that makes an old linebacker like Ron Rivera proud, huh? Tino Smith carrying for the first down. We were talking with Luke Kuechly, and how nice it must be for him to be coached by a man who used to be not just a linebacker, but a pretty good one.
Well, and he goes, you know, Ron Rivera out on the practice field. Almost daily he works with me and gives me advice and tips. And you're darn right, I can't imagine a better scenario for a young linebacker to play for a guy who has the history Rivera does.
Smith setting up a little screen. That's going nowhere. Bilal Powell had no place to go. Thomas Davis with the hit. Back to New York.
Kansas City trying to wrap up a playoff spot with a win, Coach.
How about Jamaal Charles in here? Watch his 71-yard on the wheel route. On the day, he's got 4 receiving touchdowns and 187 yards. He's got another rushing touchdown, 5 total touchdowns on the day. You talk about fantasy points. He's living a fantasy.
And Boomer's now on your bandwagon. Back to Greg.
All right, JB, thank you. Bilal Powell, no place to go. He's at the 30-yard line. And this Jet offense showing signs of stalling here, now looking at a 3rd and 11. And it's a fired-up Panther defense.
Well, Jeremy Curley not a part of the Jets offense. There he is, finally coming out. And again, he's just not been, he does not have a reception yet today. And he's really been Geno's go-to guy when he's been healthy.
3rd and 11. Smith over the middle, throwing into traffic, intercepted by Munnerlyn. Munnerlyn, 30, 20, 10, touchdown, Carolina. Munnerlyn's 2nd interception of the season, his 2nd pick return for a touchdown.
Well, Geno tried to force the ball into double coverage. And again, he's looking him in all the way. And Santonio Holmes is fronted by 2 defenders.
Touchdown counts after the play. Unsportsmanlike conduct on the intercepting player, intercepting team. 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Well, somebody for the Panthers, I don't know if they taunted or what they did for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Might have been a little excessive celebration.
And I think that is the 5th pick 6. Yes, it's a 5th career for Captain Munnerlyn.
And unfortunately, this season.
The 5th for Tino Smith this season.
Extra point is good. 8:17 to play in the 4th. It's a 30-13 lead. Captain Munnerlyn with a great play, and then a not-so-smart play in the end zone. Tino Smith looking on. Dan, you and I were just talking about it during the break. This was a tight game not so long ago.
It was 16-13 and the Jets, and you and I were even talking about how the Jets had the momentum. And then, bang, the blocked punt.
Antonio Cromartie back at the goal line. Let's see if Gano gives him a chance to return it. He will. Cromartie from the 6-yard line. And comes up short of the 30.
Well, we talked about Tino Smith's pick 6s. It started week 7 in New England. Logan Ryan picked him off, went 79 yards. Had a pair of them in Cincinnati. One by Chris Crocker, another one by Adam Jones. Week 11 at Buffalo, Denard Searcy. He stepped in front of a Smith mask, and then right into double coverage, Captain Munnerlyn. And again, that is so crippling to give up a pick 6. And for the 5th time, Tino Smith, he played a clean game right up to that point. But he didn't look off the safeties, and he threw it right into double coverage.
It was 16-13 when the Jets had a punt blocked that turned into a touchdown, and then the pick 6. Smith tried to wind up to launch one and got rid of it, and it's incomplete.
Well, that was a heck of an effort by Tino Smith, getting away from a pair of defenders who had him on radar lock. That was a heck of an effort by Tino. You know, and that was his 21st interception on the season. Keep in mind, as Marty Morning was, so he came into this game tied with Eli Manning for the lead for most interceptions.
They go Wildcat now, and Jeremy Curley now back to Tino Smith. And they're out of time.
What was that?
Delay of game. That'll back the Jets up even more.
2nd down.
That was a complete screw-up on the part of the offense. They didn't have any idea what they were running.
Well, they had a chance to get the snap off before they reverted back to the normal formation. By that time, they were out of time.
Those types of scenarios, the pre-snap penalties, the Jets lead the league, and that is so frustrating.
Second delay of game for the Jets tonight. Smith on the move, on the run, gets a block, and diving. Looks like he'll be about a yard or two short of a first down.
Tino Smith barking at his teammates. He's showing some competitive fire here.
62 is an eligible receiver. 62 eligible.
Again, these are learning experiences for Tino Smith. They're tough lessons. Lord knows he's had more than his fair share this season. But he's not getting a ton of help either.
3rd and 1. Smith throwing, and that's complete to the 40-yard line to Tommy Bohannon for a first down. And you know, we've seen the Jets several times this year, Dan. There's no wavering on the part of the coaching staff in their support of Geno Smith.
No.
They know. In fact, Cam Newton, when we talked to Cam Newton yesterday morning, I said, can you identify with what Geno Smith is going through? He said, oh, yes.
The thing about Cam when he was a rookie, though, he was never careless with the football.
Geno Smith under pressure and throws and complete.
You know, that's the thing that impressed me about Cam Newton. You know, Geno Smith has more than twice as many interceptions as touchdown passes. Cam Newton always had more touchdowns than interceptions, even in that rookie year.
And we have a Panther down on the field at about the 35-yard line.
Oh, you hope that's a cramp.
There's been no official word but Greg Hardy looked for all the world like he just caught a cramp.
Yes. So all of you Panther fans who've been holding your breath during that commercial break, I'm
Exhale.
pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure it's just a cramp.
Geno Smith pulls it down, looking and going to run, and slides down across the 45. Had a look downfield, but then decided to tuck it and run.
And Geno now running the offense from the line of scrimmage, trying to demonstrate a little urgency here.
6:10 to play. Going to this sideline, and that is complete just across midfield to Holmes. Santonio Holmes, he of the big pronouncement midweek with just his second catch of the day for 13 yards.
I will say this in his defense. He was praising the Panthers' front seven as to how good they are. And he said if they have a weak link, it would be their secondary. So, hey, still, it's billboard material. You should know better.
What did Ron Rivera say when you asked him about it?
Well, he loved it.
Yes, absolutely. That pass, and that's behind Holmes, incomplete. Holmes is open.
He was very open, and that throw well behind him. And again, the Holmes issues this season, whether they be hamstring problems, ankle problems, foot problems, hasn't allowed he to really develop the chemistry you'd like to see with his quarterback. It hasn't happened.
Smith. And that catch is made to the 25-yard line is Curley. And we've got a flag down.
Prior to the pass, illegal use of hands to the face. Defense number 23. Penalties decline. First down.
That's the rookie cornerback Melvin White.
Melvin White going against Santonio Holmes. Oh, he went for the Adam's apple crush. And Geno Smith this time finally getting Jeremy Curley. And the throw was a little high, but Curley really elevated. Curley at only 5'9", had to use every inch of it to get up there.
25-yard pickup, first down, just inside the 25-yard line. Smith, sideline, complete and out of bounds. Kellen Winslow, first time we've mentioned him today.
Well, on back-to-back plays, two guys that have not been involved at all get involved. Kellen Winslow this time just running a simple little out. Drayton Florence giving him all sorts of room.
So it's another first down, and Ivory in the backfield with Smith as we duck under 4:50 to play.
McCauley delayed the snap because Carolina was substituting.
Smith coming back this way, incomplete, and off the hands of Holmes.
Well, you could see that Geno Smith thought Santonio Holmes was going to come back running a full corner, and it just looked like, I don't know whether Holmes didn't break it as far to the corner, to the back pylon as he was expecting, or if it was just a really errant throw by Geno Smith.
Second and 10. Powell to about the 8. Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly with the stop. How about the Thomas Davis story, Dan?
Well, extraordinary. I don't know how else to say it. A guy that has overcome 3 separate surgeries to his ACL. It's just, to overcome 2 is remarkable. To overcome 3
and playing at a tremendously high level.
And to keep his speed, to keep everything, I've never seen it before and probably never will.
3rd and 6. Smith over the middle, and that is touchdown. Jeff Cumberland with the catch for the touchdown.
Well, Cumberland fakes the block, breaks off, and he's just trailing Curley into the end zone. By the time Kuechly can get over there, it's too late. Cumberland did a really nice job of selling his pass protection responsibility first before he released. That is really hard to cover.
So Folk now to try to make it a 10-point game.
They definitely go for 1 here. Make it a touchdown and a field goal time.
And it is good. 3:50 to play here in the 4th quarter.
Well, let's go back and look at some of the key plays. Carolina went for it on 4th down. A good job by the Jets. They came back. Sheldon Richardson, the defensive tackle, with a touchdown. And here's where the game turned on that blocked punt. And then Geno Smith, his lone turnover of the day. The Captain Motherland who runs it back for a touchdown. This was a 16-13 ball game when Carolina blocked the Jets punt. That led to a touchdown and the dam broke. But still, almost 4 minutes left. There's a lot of time left in this game by NFL standards. And if anybody for the Panthers thinks that the register has already rung and this baby's been deposited, you would be making a mistake.
Ted Ginn, the only one back at the 15-yard line. The rest of the Panthers playing this for an onside kick.
You know, this is one of those awkward. Personally, I'd kick it away.
Well, that's not going to happen. It's laying flat.
Well, he could still squib it downfield. But no, they're going to try the onside kick. It never went 10 yards and covered by Carolina's Greg Olsen. And that's the problem. You got to start off with the premise that the ball has to go 10 yards, and I'm not sure that would have ever made it 10 yards.
You know, the thing about these onside kicks, you know they're practiced on a regular basis, and yet so often when you come to the game, it looks like they haven't been practiced at all.
Yeah. Well, you know, let's face it, the odds are against you. The odds favor the receiving team. And now this is what happens when it doesn't work. Look at the field position of the Panthers.
The Panthers start now at the Jet 43. That's Tolbert spinning for yardage to the 40. Dan, how about those Miami Dolphins who beat the New England Patriots today and helped their playoff stock?
I've been saying this for weeks. I'm sounding like a broken record, but I'm kind of amazed. Every time I hear people talk about Coach of the Year candidates, I never hear Joe Philbin's name.
No one says it.
And maybe he's got a black eye over, the whole Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin situation. But the fact that he's held that team together as effectively as he had, I think that's a masterful job of coaching.
Talk about weathering a major storm. He has done that. This is Tolbert, and Tolbert squeezes through for another few yards to the 37.
The Jets have 2 timeouts left.
Second charge timeout, New York.
They've only got 1 left after this.
As we said, the Dolphins right in the thick of that AFC playoff race now.
Football fans, college football action returns.
Kansas City winning.
They're up 49-31. See, the Jets with 2 timeouts left, they could only stop 2 of these plays, so it's either stop it after the first down play or let the first play go and then you stop it after the second and the third down play. Either way, all ends up with the same wash.
And before the game, don't miss the Belt Bowl Fan Fest, which begins at 11 a.m. and features a concert by Blake Shelton.
Once again with those Dolphins, the young Mr. Tannehill has been coming along, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He's been showing that he earned that number 1 draft spot.
3rd and 5. Tolbert again. Tolbert still bulldozing his way close to a
really
first down.
Close. Really close. It looked like he didn't have a chance at it. Let's see where they spot this ball. Terry McCauley's calling for the chains.
3rd and final charge timeout, New York.
Ron Rivera had that look on the sideline like, come on, it's a gimme.
Well, it's interesting that the Jets called a timeout because the clock stops when the chain comes in. You could wait to see whether they got it or not. Oh, that's a first down.
That makes everything moot.
30-second timeout.
Well, they'll still get 1 stoppage at the 2-minute warning.
Let's get another update from the guys in New York. JB and Coach Gower.
Hey, Greg, Packers have narrowed the gap.
14 unanswered points right here. Matt Flynn to James Starks. 11-yard touchdown pass, narrowing the lead now 29-24. Remember, Philadelphia lost earlier in the day.
12:47 left in regulation. Back to Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, in the NFC playoff picture, San Francisco and these Carolina Panthers in the forefront, but are not home free by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, you just got to wonder about the Dallas Cowboys and when they need a defensive stop, whether that group can deliver one.
Tolbert again. Tolbert has been a workhorse today.
That time he ran right into David Harris. Excuse me, Demario Davis.
Then, if things stay the way they are now, these Jets still will not have won 2 games in a row all season long.
And while they won't be mathematically eliminated from the playoff picture, with this being their 8th loss, if that's the way it ends up, it's a talk about a long shot.
Newton taking time off the clock. This is D'Angelo Williams. And with that, we come up to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here in Carolina. The Jets pushed. Carolina found a way to push back. You see what's facing the New York Jets. A loss here and a Baltimore win on Monday night at Detroit eliminates the Jets. And for Baltimore, that's no gimme at Detroit. Williams cuts it back. Running room. Inside the 20, inside the 15-yard line. A reminder, tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and a look inside the National Security Agency, followed by the Survivor finale and live reunion show. That's tonight on CBS.
Well, D'Angelo Williams puts an exclamation point on what has been a nice day's work by the 30-year-old running back. 81 yards rushing, 87 yards receiving. He's earned a spot in the whirlpool tonight. Good effort.
I'd like to take a moment to remind you the executive producers of the NFL on CBS, Sean McManus and Harold Bryant. Today's game produced by Mark Wolf, directed by Bob Fishman. The vice president of remote production of CBS Sports, Steve Karasik. Coordinating producer of the NFL on CBS is Lance Barrow. The vice president of studio production of CBS Sports, Tyler Hale. The NFL Today produced by Drew Kaliski, directed by Bob Mattina. Associate directors of our game today, Ryan Galvin and Brian Sealing. The broadcast associates, Tyler John and David Keating. Our technical manager, Dennis Stone. Technical director, Teresa Rosick. And the audio supervisor, Kevin Little. Stats, courtesy of Andy Lepuznik and Joe Castellano. And our spotter, Mike Buffalo Wings Gluck. And with that, the Carolina Panthers will chalk up their 9th win in their last 10. And their first 10 victory season in the books since the 2008 season. 30-20, the final score.
A good-looking football team, Greg. They're going to make some noise in the playoffs.
What you call dangerous in the postseason.
Defense always travels well.
Once again, our final score. Carolina 30 and the Jets 20. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, followed by new episodes of The Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and The Mentalist, only CBS. For Dan Deerdorf, for all of us here at CBS Sports, Greg Gumbel. So long from Charlotte. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.